This is a 9-year-old camera. It shoots 20 frames per second, has blackout-free shooting in both viewfinder and LCD screen modes, has a fully stacked 24 megapixel sensor, and a whole ton of other cool features. This, my friends, is the original Sony A9, released back in 2017. Now, you might be wondering, why am I still using a 9-year-old camera in 2026? With all of the better mirrorless options out there in the market? Well, stick around and I'll tell you why. Okay, first up, let's talk about autofocus. This camera's autofocus worked surprisingly well, fast and accurate for its age. And I think compared to more modern mirrorless cameras like the R7, R10, Z5 II, Z6 III, it really holds its ground. And I think it's really because of its fully stacked sensor, which makes this camera an extremely fast camera when it comes to autofocus. So let's now take a look at some photos to give you some examples. Next, let's talk about frame rate. This camera can shoot about 20 frames per second in RAW autofocus continuous. Now, this does not seem like a lot compared to more modern mirrorless cameras like the A7 IV or the A9 III, which can go up to 120 FPS for the A9 Mark III. It really does not seem like a lot. But trust me, 20 FPS is more than enough for most hobbyists, myself included. Now, having a higher frame rate will be good, but when I look back, I cannot think of a single time where I wished for a higher frame rate. And let's face it, who wants to come back from a tiring day in the field just to have to cull through hundreds of thousands of images? Just horrible. Now let's talk about the blackout-free shooting. A lot of people say that blackout-free shooting isn't necessary. Well, I guess I kind of agree, having used the Z5 Mark II and the R7 and some other mirrorless cameras, but it really helps when you track fast-moving birds, and it really just makes the whole process of getting the autofocus point on the bird a lot easier. Now, silent shutter. You can't hear anything, can you? That's one of the strengths of the original Sony A9 as a bird and wildlife camera, especially if you're coming from a DSLR. This camera can shoot 20 FPS in complete silence. So if you're shooting a more skittish subject, like deer for example, I know that a lot of the deer in the UK can be quite skittish, so having a silent shooting camera like this will really help. Next, let's talk about weather sealing. This camera is indeed weather sealed. Now, before you go and soak your Sony A9 in a water bucket, please do not do that. Weather sealing does not mean a waterproof camera, but what it does mean is that you can have peace of mind and confidence to bring your gear out into challenging conditions, like a rainforest or even a windy beach, where sand particles can get into the gaps of non-weather sealed gear. Next, let's talk about low light. This camera handles low light situations very well. And, well, if you guys don't believe me, you guys can go and watch the Ferry Pitter video that I released about 2 weeks ago. It was really dark in the rainforest, but this camera sensor handled it extremely well. And, you know, with modern AI noise reduction softwares like Lightroom Denoise or even DxO Pure Raw if you're going to be more professional. Um, you really don't have to be scared to use 12,800 ISO or even 25,600 ISO on this camera. And I guess it's also because of a 24 megapixel sensor, it's not as pixel dense as a Sony A1, for example, with 50 megapixels. So the noise in a sense is also less evident. So next, lens ecosystem. I think the Sony lens ecosystem right now for wildlife and bird photography is actually really good. So I use this body on my Sony 400 to 800 f6.3 to f8 telephoto lens, and I also do pair it with my 135mm f1.8 for fast action or extremely low light situations for wildlife. So yeah, I think that's one of the other draw points. Good lenses. Now let's talk about price. One of my favorite points. This camera came out back in 2017 and the retail price was about 4,500 US dollars. Right now, you can pick one up for about 1.1 to about 2K US dollars, depending on where you are in the world. Basically, um, it's dropped a lot in price. I actually picked mine up for about 1,100 Singapore dollars, which is definitely below the 1.1 US dollar mark. So you can really save a lot on the body and invest the rest of your money in a better lens. So, who is this camera for? I believe that this camera is a good upgrade from those coming from DSLRs. I also believe that it will be a great backup camera for professional wildlife and sports photographers. With that, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.